If there's one thing I'm not, it's a liar. And I said at some time ago, don't go look it up, that I was going to make a Van Helsing video. Today's that day. Not only am I making a Van Helsing video, but if you notice my co-host today, he's a little more pocket-sized than normal. That's right, we got a new microphone because we're professional. And because I take this extremely serious. Now that I have this, I have the setup. Why have I been waiting for so long? What am I afraid of? You know what I was afraid of? I was afraid to get down and dirty. I was waiting to tell you why Van Helsing is the best underrated werewolf, vampire, freaky Frankenstein movie that's out there. Let's get right into that. Let's start with all the positives here, right? We got Hugh Jackman riding a high, coming off of X-Men. And I'll be honest with you, the first X-Men is pretty trash. Second X-Men, slightly elevated, still poop. The third one is like fun because Jean Grey, you know, she's kind of just running around and murdering people and kissing her boyfriend and getting stabbed in the chest. But like, you know, I always liked Hugh Jackman, and I feel like Hugh Jackman brings a level of fun to this role. So he's a good time. He's a troubled character. He doesn't know his past. All he knows is that he woke up one day in the front of a church. And they're like, you know what? Let's bring this guy in. Let's get him on the payroll. The movie starts off, he's fighting Dr. Jekyll. Mr. Hyde. Shit. Of the CGI elements of this entire movie, he looks the worst, which is still very serviceable. Especially nowadays when you see a lot of CGI movies and stuff that looks like it was made in someone's backyard with a couple crayons and they were blindfolded. Like, this looks, it's definitely passable. Especially for a movie that's 20 years old. 20 years old. I still had hopes and dreams. Starting off when we get a pretty much a rap sheet of Mr. Hyde. Mr. Hyde? Mr. Hyde. What Mr. Hyde has been up to. He's killed like 10 dudes, 11 women, beat the crap out of 5 kids, and like 8 a goat. Him and Van Helsing get into a little bit of a scuffle. Van Helsing gets punched 60 feet through a wall, doesn't die, and then Mr. Hyde puts a giant gong on him. And I thought it would have been like a good idea if he kind of just like gonged him to death, you know what I mean? Just like blew his eardrums out, but this is a PG-13 rating that we were working with. Van Helsing drills through the floor and does one of the whoops-a-daisies, I'm in the bell, and cuts off Mr. Hyde's arm. Now Mr. Hyde is pissed. So pissed, in fact. He goes in to throw him over the side of Big Ben. I love this movie to death. It's one of my guilty pleasure movies. Great Halloween time thing. Great fall feel to get you in that pumpkin spice kind of mood. When he shoots him off the side, and Van Helsing shoots his grappling gun like 300 yards up in the air perfectly through his body. And he grabs it. And he's kind of like sitting there like a little nervous. And he goes, oh, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sprint across the other side of this clock tower. Not look where I'm going for any potential tripping hazards. And throw myself over the edge. When in reality, he could have just like pulled him up slowly. I mean, no, he really couldn't have done that either. Because Van Helsing could just really let go. It just worked out well. It happened to work out well, and, you know, Mr. Hyde's dead. Mr. Hyde's dead. You know, we get a little taste of what, you know, Hugh Jackman's got going on, and the scene is set. The movie starts in black and white. Nice and fun, nice and a creepy aesthetic, and you get, in my personal opinion, I really like the portrayal of Dracula in this movie. He's, like, kind of corny, kind of campy, but it's fun. It's light. You know, he's got that funny little accent and that hair. And Frankenstein is thrilled that he's brought his monster Frankenstein to life. But he didn't know what he was making it for. You see, because these are all the old monster movies, and they've been spliced together to make this new take on all these characters. Refreshing. Different. Thinking outside the box. Frankenstein's alive. Frankenstein is just sitting there being like, "Ugh." He's just sitting there and just making a lot of noise and grumbling, being kind of a little bit of a baby about everything that's going on. And Dracula's pumped because he's like, all right, now you can get the hell out of Dodge, and I'm going to use this guy for what I'm really going to use it for. Spoiler, I'm not going to tell you what it is. We'll get there. Frankenstein, he tells Frankenstein, he's like, oh my God, you can't use my boy, my little guy over here to do all that bad stuff. He's like, oh, but I can. I'm Dracula. And immediately kills Dr. Frankenstein. So you do have Igor there. Igor's a really good rendition of Igor. Looks creepy. He's the guy from The Mummy. He's Benny. He's like that guy that's like a really big, good movie. We'll talk about The Mummy another time. Obviously, Frankenstein is a little frustrated that his father was brutally murdered right in front of him and had his esophagus ripped out. So he throws a giant bird harpy cage, I'm assuming, must be like for a canary or something in the area, at Dracula and runs away to a clock tower. He's at the clock tower, and I don't know why the village people decided that today was the day they're done with Dracula's shit. But they're like, you know what? We're going to kill Dracula. And then they see Frankenstein and like, oh, wait, no, we're not. We're going to kill that freak over there instead and burn him to the ground. Stuck in the clock tower, he yells his famous line. It goes like this. See, I'm learning how to splice the video in between. We're going to have a lot of fun here. And the building burns to the ground. You see the outlines of Dracula and his brides. I mean, I think these had to be the most beautiful women at the time in 2004. I don't know how they... all the ladies just... Bravo, good for you. Did well. They go down. They're all having a conniption and you know, passing out, basically, because Frankenstein is dead. Now we fast forward to where Van Helsing is. So Van Helsing's now in his church talking to his dad, the father. Well, not his dad, you know, the father. He's in church in a confessional talking to the father. He goes downstairs and they're like, listen... There is a family that has been trying to kill Dracula for hundreds of years, and they are not doing very good. We're going to send you over there, my guy, and you're going to kill Dracula. Van Helsing's like, that's sick. I killed goblins, werewolves, cats, bookkeepers, peddlers, unicycle riders. I've done all these kind of things before, so this is going to be no big deal for me. He's like, nah, this is Dracula, man. He's on a whole nother level. So we're going to send this gimpy friar with you that's going to have some pretty decent one-liners, and they'll land every once in a while. And he's going to help you out and be your assistant. By the way, there's only 2 people left in this family that if they all die, the Dracula curse... Well, it's not a Dracula curse. There's only 2 people left in this family that Van Helsing has to go save. Because their grandfather was so overconfident that he can kill Dracula, he's like, yo, listen, God... got a proposition for you. I'm going to kill Dracula, right? And I'm so confident in that send all of me and my kin to burn in the flames of hell if I'm not able to pull this off. Eternal damnation. I got this in the bag. He died right away. You see a picture of him once. He's got like an eye patch. He kind of looks like Captain Crunch, but he's been through a little more stuff in his life. But Van Helsing's like, bet, I'm going to go over there. Now we arrive in this provincial town. Like, not like a Beauty and the Beast provincial, like grayer, whiter, a little more mute colors. And he's like, hey, I'm here to kill all these vampires. And everyone's like laughing at him. And they're like, listen, we're going to kill you. And Kate Beckinsale, in all of her glory, shows up, and she's got this weird accent going on. I think it's Transylvanian mixed with English, mixed with like what you'd think like I want to suck your blood. And she's like, people have been trying to kill Dracula forever, buddy. So you're not going to be able to kill Dracula. He's like, oh yeah? Duck. And she's like, swan? And then he ducks down, and Dracula's brides are in the background. This is where the visuals still do really well, and I think they still hold up. Like, the design of the brides is they're almost like giant webbed bat fish with hair ladies that have like the human features on their faces and like these crazy eyes and the long teeth with very nice hair, but they're like white and like winged. And I think it looks pretty good. Again, like it holds up. It still looks nice. They start going on a rampage. They're busting everybody up. They're throwing cows and cattle through houses and just being a real nuisance and being very inconsiderate of the infrastructure of this town. And I'm sure it's just a very depressed economic state. Van Helsing's running around. He's got it's like a bow and arrow mixed with a crossbow mixed with a machine gun, and he's just laying waste into these ladies. He's just dropping drawers and smacking heads and taking names. Kate Beckinsale has been doing parkour the entire time this is going on. She's getting slapped into a tree, doing a backflip. I'm pretty sure she got like punched into the air, pole vaulted into a room, and now she's in a house. Anna, you are so hot. This I'm paraphrasing slightly. It's like, you're so hot. If I drink your blood, we're gonna be hot forever. And they are hot. So now they're like, oh, we're gonna stay hot. And it's the red-haired one and the black-haired one. And the other one that's outside, who I do think is the fairest of them all, she's kind of just messing with Van Helsing. She's slapping him around and beating him up. And what does she do? She does the classic, I'm going to smack the vampire slayer near the holy water with the machine gun. Classic. She's sitting on the other side of like this open archway where there's a well in the middle, and he's by the holy water thing. So he's sprinting out there. He's dipping the holy water. She's flying up there. She's like, oh no, I've made a grave mistake. Then he shoots her like 50, 60 times before the other two vampires, brunette, red-haired lady, they bite Kate Beckinsale. So the blonde-haired one dies gruesomely. Like the skin melts off her. She becomes a skeleton. Not good. The other two have Kate Beckinsale to end this line that they think they're gonna end and put an end to the curse, remove all threats to Dracula, and they're like, oh no, but they're screaming and there's teeth and they have an elongated mouth, kind of like in Mortal Kombat. When you think of Mylana, they're like screaming, and then they leave her. They were already there. No one was there to defend Kate Beckinsale. I'm sure she would have judo kicked her way out of there at some point, but they left her. So they're gone now. And Van Helsing's like, oh, that was pretty sick. I killed a vampire. Look at this really cool hat I'm wearing. It's a pretty cool hat. I think I have a similar hat. And the townsfolk is like, what the hell were you thinking? They only kill enough people just to stay alive. Now they're pissed. And they're going to take it out on my wife. And then Kate Beckinsale comes out and is like, I'm kind of turned on by this, and I kind of like that guy in the hat. He can stay. They end up staying, whatever. Let me cut back to the Valerians or whatever. Freeze frame. There's a guy chained to a post in the middle of the woods. He's in the middle of the woods. He's chained to a post, and he's like, come on. Dracula released you for a reason. And then you like hear some huffing and puffing, and a werewolf comes out. And this thing is my favorite depiction of a werewolf in all of fiction, hands down, bar none. It has wolf features, obviously, the canines, the snout, the hair, like the good texture for the fur, but it's humanoid, which is what a werewolf should be. This ain't that Twilight garbage where they just turn into a giant wolf and they're like a dog. This has forearms, it has limbs, it has like opposable hands and can stand on its hind feet or go to a quadruped, which I believe is 4 legs. Go to a quadruped position. I haven't seen a werewolf in a fiction movie that looks better than Van Helsing does 20 years ago. Changed my mind. Comes out, goes to attack him. Everybody's shooting it. They're like, pew, 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 pew. And they're like, there's no point in you pewing unless you have a silver bullet. Get me my gun. Because they only brought one gun with one silver bullet. And I don't even know if it was one shot. I don't know the logistics behind this. This just seems like a very big risk if you only have one gun with silver bullets to kill this thing. Kate Beckinsale's like, that's my brother. I'm gonna go save him. She runs in there all like G.I. Jane. She goes to shoot it. I think she misses entirely. And then the werewolf breaks out of its cage and starts chasing our heroine, Kate Beckinsale. Kate Beckinsale runs to a cliff. Oh my goodness, what is gonna happen? Don't even worry about it. Her brother shows up, pushes her out of the way, shoots the werewolf, and gets laid out. Just right off the cliff. God, dead, kaput. We're in the village, and Van Helsing's like, I am no closer, nor am I no farther from getting Dracula. Well, no, I killed his wife. Dracula's pissed about that. He doesn't. He looks at his wife as pretty expendable. Like he's not stressing it too much, but he's not happy. I mean, would you? To restart a whole relationship again, get a whole new connection? It's a lot of work. It's a lot of groundwork. Van Helsing's like in this place, and he's like, hanging out, whatever. Kate Beckinsale's in there. She's keeping her stuff close to the chest. She's like, hey, Van Helsing, I just want to see what you're all about. And not in a way that you're thinking. I don't play by the rules, okay? I ain't like other girls you met before. So she's in the house, and something else is in this house, kind of moving around, like sniffing. And like, oh my goodness, there's another werewolf. I'm so excited because I had so much fun with the last werewolf. I wonder what's gonna happen with this one. She's like walking around the corner, and it sees her, and then she's like, oh my. She says like, egad, and then the werewolf goes away. Then she like runs away, and she like turns a corner, and who's gonna be there other than her brother? Yeah, I know. I thought he was up Schitt's Creek without a paddle too. Nah, he's there. He looks flustered, flabbergasted. Anna, I have to tell you something about Dracula. I know what he doesn't like. And she's like, it's okay. I'm going to rub your face a little bit. You rub my face. We're very close, brothers and sister. And he's like, no, please stop touching my face. If I tell you something, he goes, huh, who? And then he starts like exorcist reverse climbing up the wall. Again, such a cool transformation. He starts ripping like his skin off to become the beast within. What an analogy. What a play on words. Ripping his skin off. Ripping skin from flesh and bone and muscle and whatnot. And Kate Beckinsale is devastated by this. Not devastated enough to run and be concerned for her own safety, but she just like, oh god. No. He fully becomes a werewolf, like rips his snout off and starts to come out. Van Helsing comes in, and if I didn't get this part right, don't crucify me. But you can, but be nice. He comes in, he goes to shoot him, and she's like, no, and stops him. He's like, he's not your brother anymore, Anna. She's like, wait, you knew? And he's like, yeah, I know. I'm Van Helsing. I know everything. I'm the guy. I'm like, if you want to talk about, wizards and warlocks and werewolves and nymphs, I know this is what I do. He goes out on a patrol. Werewolf's not there. And then all of a sudden the werewolf is there. He kills the grave robber guy. You see Captain Falcon. You see Velcro. You see Velkin. I'm gonna say Velkin. It might not be. You see Velkin go back to Dracula's like lair and just like castle and stuff. He's got these little things. They're almost like what I think the Minions are based off in all like the new Illumination films. They're very similar in stature, body type, and whatnot, but these things are meant to be grisly and like horrifying and like eat you. But it seems like the archetype and the body is very similar. He shows up. He transforms back into a human, and Dracula's like, "Where have you been, mister?" And he's like, "Don't worry, man. I was going to go talk to my sister. She doesn't know your secret. Everything's cool beans. A secret. Keep that in mind. What am I doing here? What's your plan? I'm a werewolf. What do you want to do?" And he's like, "I'm going to use you to hook up to this machine that the Frankenstein was supposed to go into, because what you're going to do is we're going to use werewolf venom, which is stronger than obviously human, not Frankenstein, to give life to my babies." Yes. This whole movie is a family film. Dracula is trying to bring his born dead children to life, and it has been pretty unsuccessful thus far. Hence, Velkin's dad is dead. I turned that light on. Velkin's like, "Please, no, my dad, blah, blah, blah." Dracula pushes him in the thing, chains him up, and is like putting him up to like the top of this spire to get hit by lightning to shoot energy into his kids. Kate Beckinsale and Van Helsing show up to the castle. Dracula pretty quickly finds out that Van Helsing's in there, and he's like, "All right, I'm gonna go talk to them. I'm gonna talk to him. I just want to talk to him." "Gabriel, it has been a long time." And he's like, Van Helsing's like that meme with that lady where like all those things are like all those numbers are flashing by her face, or like that guy, he's just like, it's got the question marks inside. He has no idea what Dracula's talking about. And Dracula's like speaking in tongues. "You don't remember me, but you stole my ring." It's not that really good of a special effect. I guess even here it doesn't look like I have a finger. He probably just did this. But he has a ring that Dracula had, and he's like, "Talk is cheap, buddy." That's what he says to him. He puts a cross in his hand, and Dracula starts screaming. He's like, all his burns, but he's like, "Not really." "Oh yeah? Well, try this steak." And then he stuck him. Also not really effective. If it was a Pokemon battle, it's not very effective. I forget what Kate Beckinsale's doing. I think she's kind of just running around. She's doing like gymnastics, and she's like jumping off a horse and like doing like a floor routine somewhere. Oh, she's going to get Val. I made that up. I'm sorry. I was very much belittling. She's doing a lot of stuff. She goes up to get Velkin. "Yo, leave me here. I'm a monster and I can't control myself." She's like, nah. This'll be okay. She breaks him out slightly. It's immediately not okay. Van Helsing jumps into a Lazy Susan, or whatever that thing is. It like transports like food and stuff. Like it's a something waiter. Like, go somewhere else. He's like, "I'm out. Goodbye. I'm using this distraction." Dracula's like not even that upset about it. "My kids are alive now." So they come out. They're freaky little goblin-esque things. Nowhere near as hot as the mom. "You have to go feed these guys. You got to go take them out to get some food." And he throws his wife to their death off the top of the building. Keep in mind, they're vampires. They just fly away. But can you imagine if your husband or significant other just threw you off the top of a building? I would reconsider that relationship. Now they're going to the town, and these little guys are just, they are killing everybody. I mean, it is a slaughter. It's like they're pulling them in the air, they're biting them, they're ripping them apart. The mom is throwing the people at them. The friar is there. The friar that does some comic relief, he's there. He sees a lady getting pulled, and he's like, I'm gonna try my hand at this and do something about it. Velkin's now fully out. He's fully werewolfed up. Van Helsing shoots a giant, that grappling hook thing. I don't know the distance of the whatever it is, the bang for your buck and the investment on this is incredible, because he shot it like across a river that had to be 1,000 yards minimum. If you told me that was a quarter mile, I'd say, yeah, fine, a quarter mile. They zip across. Falcon's a stupid wolf thing. So he jumps on the hook, falls through, and then they swing to the other side. There's mayhem in the town. I mean, if this was Townsville, the mayor's phone would be blowing up. Luckily, for the sake of the citizens, all the babies start to die. It seems that the werewolf venom was not effective enough to sustain the life here. The friar saves a lady. He's like, you're gonna pay me back in some favors that you're gonna pay me back. Van Helsing and Kate Beckinsale fall into a giant ditch, which is the home of Frankenstein. That's right. He didn't die. He fell in a hole. They looked for him forever, apparently. They didn't look at the spot where the wind tunnel fell directly down and caved in on itself. They said they searched for years. No one got any shovels and a spade and started just check down a little, maybe 50 feet below the dirt. They did not. So he's down there and he's reading the Bible and he's God-fearing. And he's cognizant and he kind of attacks him a little bit, but he's got clothes on, staying away from everybody. He had a rough start to his life. He's made from the severed limbs of a bunch of other people. His father was murdered in front of him. The second he tried to get away and give his father a proper burial and send-off, they attempted to burn him alive, and vampires tried to utilize him to give life to literal human parasites. A tough hand to be dealt. Van Helsing's like, hey man, you can't stay in here anymore. You're not evil. Oh, they want him to. Kate Beckinsale's like, kill him. He's like, I can't kill him. I can sense it. He's got like this spider sense where you can tell who's evil and who's not. But he's like, I'm gonna pull him out of here, dude. Don't. If you pull me out of here, they're gonna use me to bring back the babies. Van Helsing's like, don't tell me what to do, and shoots him with blow darts and pulls him out. He pulls him out. Frankenstein is out and about now. The friar funny guy did the deed with that lady, and he's like messing around with like inscriptions on the wall and stuff, and he pulls like a lever. Somehow the still painting turns into like a stop motion claymation production, almost like similar to like a Wallace and Gromit, and there's two guys fighting each other, and one becomes a werewolf and one becomes a vampire, and they tackle each other, and it's like, whoa, what could this possibly mean? Spooky. Now what they're gonna do is they're gonna move Frankenstein to Rome so he could be under the church's protection, and they could decide what they want to do with him. They're traveling with horses. Two Dracula wives show. It's not really Dracula is in the movie, and I don't think he needs to be any more or any less in the movie, but it's very Bride of Dracula centric, which I'm very in favor of. I think that they play excellent antagonists, and I thought they were effective and threatening. They're chasing the carriage. They jump this giant cliff thing. I'm pretty sure Kate Beckinsale did a flip or something crazy in this whole transaction. They separate the carriage from the horses, and the carriage starts plummeting towards the earth, like just falls into a chasm that's plummeting. The red-haired one is like, save the creature, he's in there, I'm gonna go kill these guys. And the black-haired one's like, I got you. She opens the carriage. To her dismay, it is filled with explosives and stakes. And she goes, stakes. And when it hits the ground, it explodes, and all the shrapnel and debris hits her, thus ending bride number 2. Only one left. They're riding away. They feel good. They're on a separate carriage. There's another dummy carriage that they're on. So they're on that one. Frankenstein is in there. So is the friar. Who shows up? Velkin in his werewolf form. He's fighting with everyone. Everyone's scared to die. The carriage catches on fire, so everyone jumps out of said carriage. Van Helsing does a slow motion, Matrix-inspired, double handgun, silver bullet shooting dodge roll that Patches O'Houlihan would be proud of, and shoots Velkin once or twice. And Velkin lands on him, so they tumble off like into the woods. So Velkin's dead. Kate Beckinsale is upset, and she's just slapping the hell out of it. And I was like, why the hell did you do that? That was my brother. I loved him. He's like, yeah, I know it was your brother. We already had this discussion prior. He was a werewolf. He was attacking me, and I was attacked. And Van Helsing is bit. So like, I need to go walk this off to this little quiet area next to this cliff. She gets snatched up by the redhead and taken away. The awareness from Kate Beckinsale is just not strong in this movie. She's a damsel in distress that is constantly distressing. Dracula sends his bae, his last bae, and is like, okay, we'll give you back Kate Beckinsale if you give us Frankenstein. Van Helsing's like, I'm gonna outsmart. Van Helsing says aloud to Friar and to Frankenstein, I'm gonna outsmart this guy. We're gonna knock you out again, Frankenstein, and put you in this crypt. and then I'm gonna get Anna, break her out, but I'm not gonna give you up because I made a promise to you. I'm gonna see through that you are saved. This plan sucks. And he knocks him out, puts him in a crypt. The crypt directly adjacent to his crypt has like a vampire or a zombie. I'm assuming it's a vampire. I don't know why they were placed directly next to Frankenstein. I don't know how they knew that he was there. Or if it was a zombie, you don't see any other zombies in the remainder of the movie. But like it slides its hand out of the crypt, inferring that Frankenstein has gotten got. They go to this ball. Dracula's like, I'm not giving you to Van Helsing. In fact, I'm pretty low on brides right now. I'm thinking about just making you one. You're hot. That's good enough for me. Van Helsing shows him. He's like, get your paws off her, you damn dirty ape. Everyone that's in the ball is a vampire, and they all like yell at him. He grabs Kate Beckinsale somehow. She does like a trapeze artist thing. Like she's at the top. And he throws a bomb that is the power of the sun. It's like a supernova, and it kills all the vampires, aside from obviously Dracula and his beloved. And they get out, and Van Helsing's like, all right, cool, we're out. They see a little boat, and you just see the world's saddest Frankenstein. He is upset. And Van Helsing's like swimming after the boat. I'm gonna get you out of this. I swear to God, I'm gonna get you. And he's just standing there. No, he's in the water, so he's the most vulnerable he could ever be. And you would think that the little minions would shoot arrows at him, throw gas on the water, and light it on fire. Like, now's the perfect time to eliminate your Van Helsing threat, because he's alive and well, and he's foiled your plans before. They just let him swim after the boat. Kind of just more of a taunting thing. I guess the emotional pain hurts more than the physical in this situation. What do they say? They're like, well, we should go report back to Rome. The friar says this because we were gonna kill him anyway. We have direct orders to kill him. He's like, why are you killing him? He's like, he's not natural. He's a freak. He's like, and then Van Helsing's like, I'm not natural. I'm a freak. And he's like, roid rages out and starts like having the werewolf effect, which is cool. So they're gonna break him out, but they're no longer at Castle Frankenstein. They're now at Castle Dracula, and they never knew how to get there. But there was just one little insignificant random piece of parchment in the beginning of the film that they're like, wait a minute, this giant wall long inscription that talks about Dracula's lair is missing. It's missing a small piece in there. So if we match this piece up and they go, it's a portal. It's a portal that takes you right to Castle Dracula. They're there, and now they got to split. They got to do the Scooby-Doo split. The friar knows the secret. Dracula, here's the twist. Check this out. Dracula uses and employs, he doesn't really employ them, he doesn't pay them, but that's not here nor there. He uses werewolves to defend him during, daytime or anything else, to do his bidding, but he's allergic to them. He's allergic to them like someone would have a very severe peanut allergy, or go into anaphylactic shock, let's say when eating eggs. If a werewolf will to turn on him and attack him, it could kill him. It's the only thing that could stop him. So Dracula, as a failsafe, has werewolf antidote. Huh, wow, this spices up everything. And the only way to revert a werewolf back to its human state is if he is given the antidote, third stroke of one of those strokes of midnight. If he gets that, then he can go back. Anna and the friar guy go to get that. Van Helsing's like, I'm gonna go slay the dragon. He's gonna go fight Dracula. So he goes around looking for Dracula. Anna and the friar guy go to... This is where it gets a little crazy. They take Igor to lead them to the antidote. Igor locks him in the room of the antidote. And the antidote is like in some kind of chrysalis acid thing that, I guess you can't touch it. Like if you touch it, you're like, ow, and you're not going to touch it anymore. So he locks him in there with that. And Dracula's bride shows up. And he's like, Anna, I was playing around before. For the entire movie, actually, I was messing around. But now I'm going to kill you. I'm going to do it. Van Helsing goes up, frees Frankenstein as he gets shocked, and Dracula's like third wave of children, like the third round of kids is coming out. Dracula gets pissed. He turns into his first time you see the Dracula form. Again, very good design. Very unique. Like, still has the hair, which I'm kind of cool with, but looks like a monster. Looks like a humanoid vampire bat with like long nails, like tendrilled wings. Really, really cool. Frankenstein like falls off the top of the spire for like 40 minutes, and he's just falling through all these different like wires. Like basically looks like there's electrical wires in this like feudal castle, but he's just falling through all of them, tumbling about, not dying. Anna's fighting Dracula's wife, and she pushes the acid over, and it breaks and it pops up and it just burns her face. She's like, this is gonna be terrible for my skin, and throws it more in her face. Oh, no. Wrong. They're fighting, and the friar's in there with Anna, and the other lady's like, just talking shit. She just loves to talk shit. Anna pushes the acid over, blows up in her face. She uses the remaining acid, which is pretty smart, that's in the container thing, and throws it on the gate that locked them in there to get them out. So the little friar guy runs away. He's got the antidote in his hands. Burning in his hands, but he's got a little robe on, so he's running around with it. And then the lady's just like, I'm gonna kill you slowly. I'm gonna abandon that mission. I don't even care anymore. I hate you so much. I'm gonna kill you. Whilst all this is happening, you gotta keep in mind that Frankenstein is still just falling. He's been falling, tumbling, rolling off the side of a wall for 5 minutes. The friar is running across the bridge, and who else would come out but the third antagonist in the movie? Igor. Igor has a stun gun and is trying to stun our hero, the priest, to death. Frankenstein comes down, and his wire gets stuck on the other side of the bridge, and he just calabungas Igor off the bridge, and he just falls to a horrible death. And it's kind of getting jacked up a little bit, so Frankenstein's like, yo, I want to live. And then the friar frees him to catapult him through a window, where he busts in at the perfectly opportune time to save Anna from being killed by Dracula's wife. And then he starts fighting Dracula's wife. So Anna leaves. Check this out. So Anna goes out the window. This is by far the craziest thing in this movie, with werewolves and Frankenstein and Dracula. This is by far the craziest. Remember how before Anna was a trapeze artist? You've seen nothing yet. Now she has this wire that Frankenstein used to get in and break her out, and she's swinging adjacent to the bridge that is blown out by lightning to get the antidote to go save Van Helsing. She's swinging from rope to rope in the pouring torrential downpour rain with bare hands, and she's doing backflips to every subsequent rope, and she's just catching it and going through. And she says, Carl, that was his name. I didn't get it the whole time. Carl, throw me the antidote. It's pouring rain. It's windy. She's trapezing a good 100 yards away from the bridge that the friar now has to throw the antidote to her to hope that she catches it, doesn't inject herself, and doesn't drop it to go save Van Helsing. My man underhand throws it. He doesn't Peyton Manning and load it up. He underhand throws it 100 yards, give or take, after she just landed a backflip, and she reaches out in slow-mo and just grabs it and is like, huh. And they're like, yes, you did it. And she's just going, and she gets nailed by Dracula's wife, maybe 75 miles an hour, into a ledge, hits the ledge, it's concussed, falls to the next ledge, snaps her leg, and then hits the last one and slams her chin and needs facial reconstructive Zac Efron surgery. None of those things really happened. The events did happen, but none of the injury. So she's there, she's completely fine. The lady's like, I'm gonna be hot forever, drinking your essence, anything that. And then she gets stabbed by another spike that gets thrown to her underhand, presumably, from 100 yards away where the friar is. She catches it perfectly and stabs her and kills her. Dead. While whatever Harlem Globetrotter Circus Olay shit is going on outside, it is the coolest werewolf versus vampire fight that, again, I've ever seen. It's the coolest way to show this. It's two humanoid, similar sized creatures fighting it out, using their different abilities, flying around this control room with vats of acid and electricity blowing up and whatnot. And Van Helsing still has his mullet, even in his werewolf form, which is so dope. And he's just beating the shit out of Dracula. They're trading blows, blah, 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 just bobbing and weaving, cracking with some hooks and shit. Dracula goes to fly away, and he gets zapped by his own lightning, and he's exasperated. He is exhausted. He's just running on fumes. And Van Helsing does the sickest shit where he just sees Dracula up there and takes his claws and scrapes it across this metal grate and just looks at him. I'm just that is good. That is good. And then they keep fighting. Dracula goes to throw a jab. Van Helsing slips, grabs him by the throat, and is just choking him in the air. And you're like, oh my god. And it looks like a poster. You just choke him in the air, roaring at him, Dracula's roaring. But the moon is covered by clouds. So he reverts to his human form, jumps off, and he's like, damn, dude, this is a bad time for me to be a human. And Dracula comes down, and he's like, listen, Gabriel, I have the upper hand here. And instead of killing you, I'm going to do something that my wives have taught me to do, and I'm going to talk you to death. I'm going to hit you with all this. Gabriel, we could be partners, and I could tell you all the things about your past. He's just sitting back, just walking away, biding time. He's like, some things are better left forgotten. Some things are better left forgotten. Which is true. You move on, you heal. He turns back into a werewolf, gets the jump on Dracula, bites him in the neck, and then he just starts evaporating into like almost like looks like a baby with a giant head, and then he spits up like a phlegm ball, and it just dies, and he kills him, and there goes Dracula. Drops Dracula. And it's like the 10th stroke of midnight or whatever the fuck. Some's late. Kate Beckinsale runs and she's like, Van Helsing, no! And she's like, ah. Turns around and he's like, oh, hell yeah. Come on, brother. And then he just tackles her onto a sofa. Somehow supports their weight in this. He does not smash through the sofa when he's like maybe 2 tons. The friar comes in, sees Van Helsing with Anna, and he's like, God darn it, this became my friend. Now I gotta kill him. He runs to Van Helsing, goes to stab him. Van Helsing catches his arm, and you see that Anna managed to get the serum into him and inject him. But she's dead. She's dead. She's not bitten. She's not scratched. She died of a broken heart. She didn't really die of a broken heart. I'm assuming it was actually like prior injuries, like again, like hemorrhaging of the brain or an extreme concussion or some kind of aneurysm. Because like I said, she got rocked 15 minutes beforehand and showed no sustainable injury. It was probably just a ticking time bomb. Van Helsing, it's just a guilty thing for Van Helsing. He probably didn't even do anything about it. Van Helsing picks her up. He like oh, into the moon, and he becomes a man. It's a great shot, really cool. And then because he did that, because Dracula's dead and she was alive before it happened, they get to go into heaven. Van Helsing did it, burning her body at the end. And he looks from the sky and he sees her and her family. He's like, yeah, I did that. And then Frankenstein goes away. This movie still hands down completely does it for me. I'll still watch it like once a year. It's fun, it's short, it's well paced. It's light, but it's dark, and it has some like cool action sequences. And again, the CGI is really good, and it takes original IPs and original characters and has a little bit of fun with them. Makes a little bit of its own story. I think that it's the best werewolf depiction I've ever seen. Stand by that. Love the design of love the design of the vampires. Frankenstein. Yeah. What are you gonna do?